Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum. This is your course instructor, Dr. Shiza Ayaz Khilji. Is the course title of Environmental Biology from Department of Botany, Division of Science and Technology, University of Education, Township, Lahore. The topic for today's discussion is called as sediment pollution. If we look at its contents, they may include fungicides, pesticides, herbicides, and major sources of soil pollution, its impacts, preventions, and how we can control soil pollution in our environment by following various precautionary measures. We are facing serious problem of pollution. The pollution may be of many types, as I have already discussed in the previous lectures. It may include water, soil, noise, and air pollution, etc. Sediment is one of the major causes of water pollution. Sediment is carried by different factors to the water bodies and causing serious damage to our environment, as well as human beings and all the living things, including plants. There are many ways to control these effects. For example, these fungicides are the chemical substances which might be used to kill the fungi, the spores of the fungus, and get rid of all kinds of fungal infections. Fungicides, pesticides, and the herbicides are also considered as the toxic pollutant in our atmosphere. Fungicide causes environmental toxicology. They may have various effects on the ecotoxicological effect on aquatic animals, plants, and variety of the terrestrial animals. The pesticides may be chemical substance, or they can be the biological agents, disinfectants, which can use against any pest or to kill any pests. These pests may include insects, plant pathogens, weeds, birds, mammals, fish, nematodes, and a wide variety of the microbes that decreases the property, enhance the disease, a vector for the disease. A substance that is toxic to the plants is used to destroy all the unwanted vegetation. It is called as a weed. So there are many effects of these herbicides and the pesticides which are considered as detrimental to the health of human beings, like animal and plant pests. There are many strategies adopted to control the pollution which is caused by these kinds of chemicals. So basically, in the present lecture, we are mostly concerned with the sediment pollution that is caused by the sediments which have detrimental effects on living and the non-living things, called as sediment pollution. Here, the word sediment. It is a naturally occurring material that is broken down by the processes of weathering, erosion, and is subsequently transported by the action of wind, water, ice, or by the force of gravity acting on that particles. For example, sand and the silt can be carried in suspension in the river water, and on reaching the sea beds, they deposited by the process of sedimentation. If they are buried for a longer period of the time, they may eventually become sandstones and siltstones in the sedimentary rocks through the process of lithification. So mostly these sediments are often transported by the water, which is following the alluvial processes, by also under the action of the wind, which is called as the aeolian processes, and the glaciers. Various beach sands and the river channels deposited are examples of these fluvial transport and deposition, though the sediments all often settle out of the slow-moving or standing water in the lakes and the oceans. So a sediment can be defined as the loose sand, clay, silt, and any other soil particle that settle down at the bottom of the water bodies and become part of the sediment in that area. So sediments can come from the soil erosion or from the decomposition of the plants and the animals by means of wind, water, ice. These may help to carry these particles to the river, lakes, and the streams. Sedimentation is a process by which a physical water treatment processes that using the gravity to remove the suspended solids from the water. The solid particles entertained by the turbulence of moving water may be removed naturally by the sedimentation process in the still water of the lakes and the oceans. So the process of sedimentation deposited, it is called as the process of deposition of particles carried by a fluid as a result of the flow of a lake water or the river water. So the sediment can be originated from the soil erosion or the decomposition of the plants and the animals. So these certain foreign factors, including abiotic factor like wind, water, and ice, help to carry these particles to the river and lakes and the streams. And this sediment is one of the causes of creating major water pollution in our ecosystem or the environment. So, as a result of which the pollution caused by the sediment, which have detrimental effects of living and non-living thing, is called as the sedimentation pollution. So there are different dimensions of the sediment that work as a pollutant. Basically, two types of dimensions like physical dimension and the chemical dimensions. So the first one is called as the physical dimension. If the sediment may work as a physical pollutant, the topsoil loss and land degradation by gulling and sheet erosion, which leads both to the excessive level of turbidity in receiving water and to the off-site ecological and physical impact from the deposition in the river and the lake beds. So if the sediment may work as a physical pollutant, so according to global estimates of erosion and the sediment transport is in the major river of the world very widely, reflecting that difficulty in obtaining the reliable values for this sediment concentration and their discharges in the many countries. So there are certain assumptions that are made by the different researchers. For example, the erosion happens due to the various human activities in terms of deforestation, poor agricultural practices, and the road constructions, etc. They are all relative to the sediment storage by the dam construction. However, erosion on the mountains, island, and in the upland area of various rivers reflects the natural topographic influences. If the sediment may work as a chemical pollutant, then the silt and the clay fractions that is less than 63 millimeter fraction, is a primary carrier of the absorbed chemicals, especially phosphorus and the chlorinated pesticides and most of the metals, which are transported by these sediments into our running aquatic systems in the form of water, ocean, streams. This means that the role of sediment in the chemical pollution is tied both to the particle size of the sediment and to the amount of the particulate organic carbon associated with that sediment. The chemically active fraction of the sediment is usually cited as the portion which is smaller than silt and the clay fraction. For example, for the phosphorus and various other adsorbed metals, the particle size of the primary importance due to the large surface area of very small particles. These phosphorus and the metal ions tend to be highly attracted to the ionic exchange sites that are associated with the clay particles and with the iron and manganese coatings that commonly occur on these small particles. Many of the persistent, bioaccumulating, and various toxic organic contaminants, especially in the form of chlorinated compounds, including many pesticides, are strongly associated with these sediments, and especially with the organic carbon that is transported as a part of the sediment molluscs in the river. So, there are various facts about these sediments. For example, according to the EPA department, that is Environmental Protection Agency, they list the sediment as the most common pollutant in the rivers, streams, lakes, and various water reservoirs, while the natural erosion produces nearly 30% of the total sediment in the United States. That accelerated erosion from the human use of the land that accounts only for the remaining 70%. The most concentrated sediment releases come from the construction activities, including relatively minor home building projects such as room additions and the swimming pools. In this way, they may contribute about 20,000 million tons per year. So this sediment pollution, according to the facts given by EPA, that is Environmental Protection Agency of USA, causes that sedimentation pollution causes approximately $16 billions in environmental damage annually, as a result of which their major loss in terms of economy may prevail in that country. So what's the problem? These sediments entering the stormwater degrade the quality of water for drinking, wildlife, as well as for the land surrounding the stream in the following ways. For example, these sediments may fill up the storm drains and catch the basins to carry the water away from the roads, homes, which increases the potential for flooding. Water polluted with sediment become cloudy, preventing animals from seeing the food. Murky water also prevents natural vegetation from growing in the water. Here, murky water represents the dirty water. Sediment in the stream beds disrupt our natural food chain by destroying the habitat where the smallest stream organisms For example, mostly the microscopic phytoplankton users, they live and causing massive declines in the fish populations. So the sediment increases the cost of treating drinking water and can result in the odor and taste problem related to the drinking water qualities. These sediment can also clog the fish gills by reducing the resistance to the various diseases, by lowering their growth rates, affecting the fish egg and larvae development. The nutrients transported by these sediments can activate blue-green algae, that is called as cyanobacteria, that releases toxins and can make swimmers sick. Sediments deposited in the river can alter the flow of water and reduce the water depth, which makes navigation and recreational use more difficult. So how can we treat these problems in terms of positive solution? So what can we do? For example, sweep the sidewalk. You can do that by sweeping the sidewalks and the driveways instead of hosing them off. Washing these areas results in sediment and various other pollutants running off into the streams, rivers, and the lakes. Use weed-free mulching methods when reseeding bare spots on the lawn, and we should use a straw erosion control blanket if restarting or tilling a lawn is necessary. So we should put the compost or the weed-free mulching in our garden to help to keep the soil from washing away. We should notify the local government officials when we see sediment entering the streets or the streams near a construction site. Then we should avoid the mowing within 10 to 20 feet, 25 feet from the edge of the stream or a creek. This will create a safe buffer zone that will help to minimize the erosion and naturally filter the stormwater runoff that may contain that sediments. So we should either wash our cars at a commercial car wash or on the surface that absorbs water, such as the grass or the gravels. Here in this case, mowing, we all know very well what is mowing. It is a lawn mower is a device or the machine that cuts the grass or the other plants that grow on the ground. Usually, mowing is distinguished from the reaping, which usually uses similar implement, but it is the traditional term for harvesting the grain crops. So actually, the mowing is, we can say that the loose pieces of the grass resulting from the mowing. So soil erosion is the major cause of creating the sediment pollution in our atmosphere. Soil erosion is the displacement of the upper layer of the soil. It is one form of the soil degradation, and this is the natural process which is caused by the dynamic activity of erosive agents, that is water, ice, snow, air, plants, animal, and the human beings. So here you can see a picture of the major soil erosion in which the top layer of the soil is eroded, and these tree roots hold the soil in place and increases water infiltration capability. So this can be only avoided by planting more trees into the nearby area. Another content of the sediment pollution, or the cause of creating this sediment pollution in our environment, is called as fungicides. These are the biocidal chemical compounds or the biological organisms that are used to kill parasitic fungi or their spores. Fungicide inhibits the growth of mostly species. The fungi can cause serious damage in the agriculture, resulting in the critical losses of yield, quality, in terms of profit. So what is a fungicide? The chemical substances that kill fungi, spores, control the various fungal infection. They can be the natural as well as artificial. And fungicide can act as a pollutant, as there are numerous benefits of the fungicide. However, along with that, they are causing critical harm to our surroundings and the public fitness. Fungicides have now emerged as a pollutant which can be destroying our soil, water bodies, and our ecosystem badly. So they have various detrimental effects of these fungicides on our surroundings, on the human health, on the animal fitness, and the flower health, etc. A few consequences are given in the present lecture. So basically, we can say that the fungicides are the chemicals that have ability to reduce or prevent the damage caused by the fungi in the plants and their products. So these are the chemical compounds which are usually used to kill the parasitic fungi or their spores. These are mostly commercial fungicides which are available in the market, including Weir, Cyrilaxil, and Acer. So the fungicides can be classified on the basis of their uses into broader categories, including the protective fungicides and the curative fungicides. So the protective fungicides may further divided into two types, including curative fungicides. So protective, as the name indicates, they can prevent any sort of fungal infection, which is prophylactic in their behavior. Prophylactic means that is intended to prevent the disease. The examples under this category can be seen as zineb and the sulfur. They are further subdivided into two classes. Class A is called as the curative fungicides. It penetrates the cuticle and kills the young fungus mycelium growing in the epidermis, and this prevents the further development of the fungal growth. Examples can be seen in case of organomercurals. This is the example of curative fungicides. Class B is called as the eradicant fungicides. That is, they are the agents which make control on fungus even after the symptoms become visible and kill the newly developed spore along with the mycelium. Examples can be seen in the systemic fungicides, for where most of the systemic fungicide is spread through the xylem and the small number of them have ability to move through the phloem. The examples of this systemic fungicides can be seen in the downy mildew disease that refers to any of the several types of oomycete microbes that are obligatory parasites of the plants. These downy mildews exclusively belong to the Peronosporoaceae family. In commercial agriculture, they are a particular problem for the grower of the crucifers, including grapes and the vegetables that grow on the vines. Whereas this powdery mildew, here you can see the differences between these two kinds of the fungal diseases. Powdery mildew is the plant disease of the worldwide occurrence that causes a powdery growth on the surface of the leaves, buds, young shoots, fruits, and the flowers. It is caused by many specialized races of the fungal species in the genera Ericidae, Collectinea, Podosfera, and Unicinula. This is mostly the fungicide which is used in the commercial market of Pakistan, Pollutant Plus. It is a foliar fertilizer enriched with lignin and phosphocysteine, which is used for the correction of nutrient deficiencies that negatively influence the plant growth, resulting in the reduction of the abortion of flower and the fruit. So it is enriched mixture of NPK, that is the commercial fertilizer, which is enriched with the lignin, and make it unique and innovative foliar fertilizer that should be applied to the vegetative growth and in those conditions under which the plant is facing some type of stress condition or the supplement for the normal fertilization program. So this was all about the sediment pollution and various causes and effects, whereas we have discussed in detail about the sediment pollution which is caused by major sources of fungicide pollution. The remaining part of the sediment pollution, including herbicide and pesticide, will be covered in the next lecture. Here is a list of references. Thank you very much.